fantasy football podcast called Living the Stream comes to you each week. Streaming recommendations during NFL season, it's not just tongue-in-cheek. Quarterback, defense, tight end recommendations based on opposition matchup. Here are your podcast hosts, JJ Zacharyson and Denny Carter, living the stream.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Living the Stream. I'm JJ Zacharyson, the late round quarterback, and as always, I am joined by my lovely co-host, Denny Carter. Denny, what's going on, buddy?
You went full Barry White.
I
didn't expect that. And Barry White, you can Wikipedia it for the Zoomers out there. Guy with a low voice is what.
Yes, yeah, that's all you need to know. I'm in sort of like a performative feeling right now because I was in New York City.
Yeah.
From Thursday to Saturday last week, and I saw Hamilton in New York.
How was that? How did that go?
It was honestly one of the most amazing things that I've ever watched.
Wow, really?
Yeah, truly. I really like theater, and I forgot that I enjoy it. Like, I'm not like a theater snob or anything. I just like whenever I go to the theater. Like, it's always enjoyment. And isn't it fun?
Enjoyable. It is. I love it. I never do it, and I love it, and it's so expensive.
Yes, that's very true too. That's very true too. But it was just, it's one of those, I mean, I know that half the people, watching this or listening to this have probably seen Hamilton because they travel and there've been lots of casts and they do a lot of things. But, yeah, I mean, like, it was just incredible seeing it in person because you don't get the same kind of vibes from watching it on like Disney Plus or listening to it on Spotify or whatever. Like the precise movements that they have and like the lack of props that they really truly use throughout the show. Like, it's just unbelievable. And I mean, obviously it's 3 hours of music, right? Like that's one of the main reasons why it's so incredible is just because Lin-Manuel's an insane genius. And so like, I mean, it was an amazing experience for sure.
Yeah. So around Christmas, back before kids, me and Melissa would always go see Christmas Carol in DC at various playhouses in DC. And it would always be like a different version, so many takes on the classic. And every year around that time we'd go and I'd say, I love going to the theater. There's something really edifying about seeing a theater play. Way different than a movie, turns out. Way different. And I unfortunately, theater is completely out of reach for most people.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I was thinking if I lived in New York, which I would not recommend myself living in New York. I mean, we're going to alienate a lot of people by talking about New York, I'm sure. But I do think that the people who live in New York, I give you a lot of props because it is a very difficult thing. Although here's my take. I think it's actually more difficult to visit New York than live in New York.
Wait, you said it's more difficult to visit?
Yeah, because there's no convenience whenever you visit New York.
Oh no, yeah, you're right.
Right. None. Like you're constantly, because you don't know the subway system very well, so you're constantly trying to figure that out. And then if you don't go the subway route, then obviously you're Uber, and there's no like true home base.
Right.
Like your home base is a 200 square foot hotel room because everything's so small there.
It is small. Yeah. Every hotel I've ever stayed in New York is so incredibly small. I don't get the appeal of New York. Like I do like the romantic stuff. I understand. Like it's the city of, what do they call it? City of Dreams? Is that what they call it?
You're just making up
I feel like Michael Scott right now. I went to a Sparrows, when I went to New York, a classic, authentic Italian place. No, no, and I get, you want to go there, you want to make it, you want to be with the people, you want to be at the modern Roman Empire. I don't know, whatever people would call this, but it to me, it is the literal last place I would ever want to live in my life.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of, especially like we went for a friend's birthday, and it was the middle of December, obviously. And so middle of cold and flu season, which some of the people we were with have COVID. So I'm just waiting for that positive test. And then come back, and my son's sick. He has RSV right now. Things are rough in the Zacharyson house. So I'm just crossing my fingers that COVID does not come my way. Although no symptoms yet. And the last time I got it, I remember being on Living the Stream, having symptoms, and it was the same kind of time frame, having symptoms on Living the Stream, and then literally the next day I tested positive.
Yeah, anyway, you were like, I probably have COVID, and I have COVID.
Yeah, right. This time I'm feeling way better than I was last time at this time. Anyway, regardless of all of that, being in New York City and being a tourist in New York City at like during Christmas time is
It's nice.
insanity. Like it's just not for like New York in the summer is way better for me because I am not great with large numbers of people where you have to just wait for stuff constantly. Like I can't handle it. I just can't handle it.
I love it. I love that. I love waiting around for people. You don't like that? You're not into that? Come on, man. You're missing out. No, I've been to New York around Christmas. There's the big tree. Okay, you got the big tree. What else do you want?
That's right. That's right.
The incredibly overpriced everything. You have the city that stinks. Okay, that's what they call New York, right? In the books, they call
the
it
city that stinks. Yes,
I mean it stinks. That city, it just smells bad all the time. It just smells like urine, right? It just smells.
Yeah,
like
it's like it's like the sewage smell a little bit. There was when I was in Seoul, South Korea, I remember experiencing the sewage smell even more so than I did. Seoul is very nice though, like incredibly nice, but like the smell was definitely more insane even than New York, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and more recently, I would say New York smells like urine and weed combined.
Yeah, that's true.
We love to see this. And I know, look, I know that there is some upside to New York. I don't personally get it. It's not my thing at all. But to each their own, I guess. And I say that as a hater, as someone who likes to tell people that they're wrong. But I will tell you that if you like New York, it's okay.
The coolest parts of New York to me are and it's sort of the way that I feel about like LA or something, where it's like, oh, I saw this on TV or I saw this in a movie or something like that. Like I'm walking around like reciting things from Home Alone 2, right?
Yeah.
Like as I'm in front of the Plaza Hotel and
Mhm.
I'm like singing the commercial jingle that was in that movie because I have a freakish brain like that.
Yes, you do.
And I like stuff like that is fun. And I was, going through Central Park trying to find the pigeon lady. While
I think she passed away.
But yeah, but look, there were but at the end of the day, a lot of my friends who live there, I've close friends that are there, and they are all about the idea that it's like the most convenient city because you can get anything at your fingertip, like it's all right there, and that's true to a degree. Like you can get any kind of food that you want, any of that. But I would rather hop in my car and drive to a restaurant.
Look,
and go that route.
That's nonsense. This whole thing about like, well, we have bodegas or whatever. I have a 7-Eleven too. We just don't call it a bodega, okay? and also if I can have any food I want in the Maryland suburbs. There is no limitation on the food that I can get. Now, is it right outside my door? No. Do I have to drive 4 minutes? Yes. And I'm good, like you said. I'm good with that. We actually have a commenter who says New York is, quote, the city of impressive rats.
we were walking out of a bar at one point. And I only saw one rat while I was there, but there was a rat that look, the rats in New York are built different. They're like the DK Metcalf of rats in New York. I mean,
why do they have muscles? No, they really actually like are muscular.
Yeah, they're muscular. They're on the DK Metcalf regimen with. I mean, they hit the gym hard in New York, man.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, that's a rat? Like I've seen those, and I'm like, no, that cannot be a rat. I need to go like take a shower after seeing that. And I'm not saying like I got close to it. I'm talking about I'm 50 yards away from it and I see it near a dumpster or something in New York, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah. I mean, we call them armadillos in the South. It's what those rats are. But we did come across one. But like I said, man, I mean, overall, the experience is great. The trip was fun, all of that good stuff. Did more drinking than I had done, the last 7 months combined. And brought like seeing Hamilton. I mean, like if I lived in New York, like we said from the top, like I'd go see a show all the time. Like like that would be the thing that I spend my discretionary income on. But the other stuff is there's just a lot. And I know that people who live in New York, they're like, oh, we never go to Times Square and we never go to Rockefeller Center and all this. And it's like, I get it. I understand that. But when you're, visiting and you don't have this like home, an apartment that you can go back to.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing we should throw out there with the inconvenience thing. Your home is still 1,400 square feet tops, like you're not able to, and you're spending twice as much as what, people in the suburbs are spending.
That's
so
probably
there's pros and cons to it all. That's what I'm really saying. Denny's going to take the more extreme stance though, I'm sure.
Well, okay, here's my question. If you had to choose to live somewhere, okay, if you were absolutely forced to live in one of these two places, what would you choose? LA or New York?
LA.
Me too. And it's not even close.
Yeah, I like LA more. But I think I think if I didn't have a family, I could live in New York.
Maybe, but here's the thing. LA weather is perfect. And
it's true.
And New York is freezing cold for 7 months out of the year. So no thanks.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. LA traffic is obnoxious.
Yeah, sure.
But I'll tell you what, man, New York traffic, if you are getting in a car, aside from, obviously you'll take the subway if you live there, but New York traffic, like this time of year, was the most infuriating experience of because at one point we had to Uber, whether it was going to LaGuardia or whatnot, or just like, and it is just, I mean, there's nothing. I would rather have to drive 100 miles and go at a constant 30-mile-an-hour pace as opposed to just starting and stopping constantly and getting 3 miles in 45 minutes.
When I went to Stamford, Connecticut, which is right outside of New York City, for NBC stuff, I had to go to LaGuardia from Stamford, and it was supposed to take 45 minutes. It took an hour and 45 minutes and my Uber driver had to basically become a superhero with avoiding emergency vehicles and major pileups and this and that. It could have been a 3-hour ride, and he was like, "Yeah, this is pretty typical." So no, thank you with New York. I'm moving to LA. I'm doing it.
Yeah, impressive drivers though. Our Uber driver on the way to the airport on Saturday was pretty freaking awesome at navigating things. Almost killed 14 people, but it was still, still very impressive driving because he didn't kill them. It was fine.
We have Bethany Q. Peters the fourth says she's staying on 69th Street in New York, so it smells like something.
There you go.
I'm sorry. This is wow. You guys are cracking me up.
All right, well, look at what happened last week, Denny. Gardner Minshew was a streamer that we chose, 14 fantasy points. Jake Browning, another streamer that we chose, 23.7 fantasy points. Josh Dobbs, you were more pessimistic than I was for sure, and you were correct because he sucked and then got benched. He scored 5 fantasy points, and then Joe Flacco scored 20. So if you avoided the Dobbs landmine, you were okay. Isaiah Likely, a great play, which we said there was no reason for him to be rostered at the percent that he was rostered when we recorded last week. 19.3 points. Gerald Everett, 8.9. Cade Otton, 9.6. Chikakonkwo, 9.6. And then on defense, we had Houston, who had 5. Detroit had 4. New Orleans had 21. Green Bay had 6. And the Vikings had 20. So pretty good. I think overall, a decent week. I mean, there were a couple landmines in there, but realistically, this time of year where there are fewer options because, they're not obvious, places to go at these positions, I think it was a pretty good week.
Absolutely. Before we get into the streamers, I just wanted to throw out a couple defensive streaming options that you might want to stash for the playoffs. The Broncos are available, I think, in 90% of leagues. You can go get them. They have a good playoff schedule overall. And then the Bears are available in over 90% of leagues. They have a decent schedule, and they've been playing pretty well. So look at Broncos and Bears.
All right, Denny, let's move on to week number 15. We were in the fantasy playoffs, which I know that there was a bit that Pete Overzet had tweeted one day where he said that it's hilarious how shows and stuff always open up where they're like, I can't believe we're already at week 14 or week 15. Right. It's always I can't believe, we're already here. But it is kind of crazy that we're in the fantasy playoffs right now.
Right. The linear passage of time seems to shock fantasy analysts all the time.
Yeah. More than any other profession. Yeah.
Whoa, it's week 1.
At least podcast hosts. Yeah. All right. Why don't you kick things off with a quarterback?
Yeah. Here's a quarterback, folks. Nick Mullins. He's going to start apparently after Josh Dobbs' meltdown against the whoever they play, Raiders. By the way, you know what happened there, JJ? The team freaked out Dobbs, and they were basically like, "Look, kid, we're gonna yank you if you make one mistake.
Yeah.
Don't make one mistake.
Yep.
And a quarterback can't function like that, you
Yeah.
know. Like Zach Wilson. Look at Zach Wilson. He was trying to function like that, and he couldn't. And as soon as he didn't give an F, I'm keeping it clean for the kids. He played out of his mind.
Is there a part of you that actually thinks that Zach Wilson is good, but it's just all in his head? Everything's in his head.
Oh yeah, no. I hope that I've been clear. Like Zach Wilson has a lot of physical tools, should be good, not great, but should be good. But his confidence and his mental game completely shattered by the Jets.
He actually, his second half against Houston was like
really
remarkably good. Yeah,
it was good. Yeah. No, he doesn't. He literally told his teammates, "I don't give an F."
Yeah,
and so he played like it. Anyway, back to Nick Mullins. I think more of like a deep kind of desperation move here. I do think Mullins being a system knower is going to help in this Kevin O'Connell offense. Also, just for the Vikings offense in general, I think that Mullins is a closer copy of Kirk Cousins than Josh Dobbs was as a distributor of the ball, a guy who is not going to run almost ever and take away those pass attempts. So I do think that it's good for Hawkinson. It's good for Addison and maybe Jefferson if he plays. But he should have a decent floor.
I'm going to go to Jake Browning. Look, Denny, I think we got to be a little bit real here. Jake Browning has run pretty good over the last couple of weeks.
He's getting away with it, folks.
Yeah. I don't think that he's like bad. Did you know that he probably has the most impressive high school resume of like any quarterback of all time? Like
really?
I can't remember what the number was, but and someone can fact check me, but he threw his senior year. He had over like 90 touchdowns in high school.
No.
Yeah. Like something obscene. Yes.
What?
Yeah. Jake Browning. Yeah.
Okay.
Like he was absurd statistically. So there's at least like some sort of backbone there of him being, a decent enough player. Right. But over the last couple of weeks, he faced 2 top 10 opponents, favorable opponents, in adjusted points allowed in the Jags and the Colts. And he's also gotten a rushing touchdown in each of those games. So that's boosted his numbers a little bit. I also saw a tweet and I've seen people talk about he's gotten a lot of juice from the screen game. And, we saw that with like Chase Brown last week. I think that was a receiving touchdown, that he ended up scoring. So there's just been some things that have been pretty favorable for Browning. Now he gets Minnesota. Minnesota actually hasn't allowed a QB1 performance since week 5. So they've been playing better defensively. They're a bottom 10 matchup by adjusted points allowed. I know that I'm saying all these bad things about Browning, but I'm just kind of bringing it together to say, we're up here. We're real high with Jake Browning. Like we're like, oh my God, this guy's a QB, top 6 quarterback rest of the season. Mm-hmm. What I'm trying to tell you is it's probably a little bit foolish to think that way. I mean, he's probably more, I haven't done my quarterback rankings this week, probably going to be a high-end QB2, mid-range QB2, I would assume, in this spot, but you could start him. I need him to do well because I have him in a lot of dynasty superflex leagues in the playoffs. So I need him to step up and I just spent all my FOB whenever Joe Burrow ended up going down. But I mean, like I would love for him to crush it. I'm not as optimistic as I have been over the last couple of weeks.
Only the Broncos have been better per EPA on defense over the past 7 weeks than the Vikings. So it's been tough for Vikings opponents. Brian Flores is, quote, in his bag, and opposing quarterbacks are feeling that pain. I will say we have a commenter who delivers some news here. When Jake Browning scores a touchdown, he calls it, quote, going to Browntown. So I didn't know that.
We got people in chat too. We have Daigle and Dylan and Bougie who say that Browning in his senior year, Denny, he had a national record 91 touchdowns. He had a state record, Daigle says, of 5,700 yards.
And yet no one drafted him in fantasy, which is
curious, right?
Strange.
Yeah.
All right. So we're on to Gardner Minshew playing the Steelers. Colts have a 22.5 point total, which, hey, it could be worse. It could be less than that is what I would say.
Right. Yeah.
It could be. By the way, don't look at the Patriots total this week without using those little goggles that they use in Oppenheimer to look at the nuclear explosion. Okay. Because you will actually go blind. Steelers are top.
Oh my
10.
gosh! I just looked at it for the first time.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
is
it's
it,
bad.
13?
Yeah, it's like 13. I think last week against Pittsburgh, I think was 12.25. I think now it's a point higher at least. Or
Oh,
a
you
point
had
and
to
a half
one up
higher.
me, JJ. You had to one up me.
I'm sorry. By the way, can I just say that Thursday night game was going on while I was watching Hamilton. Okay. So the game started when Hamilton started. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Like a little bit, like maybe like halfway through the first act. So the first act ended and I opened up my phone. Do you know how shocking it was to see the Steelers gave up 21 first half points? Like
Well, right.
I had no idea what was going on. Like, and I looked at my phone, and that had to have been the most shocking thing that has happened to me all football season because I didn't see any of it until
Right.
I opened up my phone.
Well, I played Bailey Zappi in the captain myself, and I won
Look at you.
$3. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I love the ROI on showdowns. They're great. It's great. Anyway, what do we have? Flacco. We had Joe Flacco, my co-host, lovely co-host Joe Flacco, against
Wait,
the Bears.
did you finish Minshew?
Hopes. Nope.
Spoiler alert, folks.
I didn't. Steelers are Steelers are a top 10 pass funnel over the past month. The Colts have the third highest neutral pass rate with Jonathan Taylor out over the past 2 weeks. I think that will continue, and so it could produce some volume for our guy Gardner.
I'm going to go to Will Levis against Houston. This is a deep play because Levis isn't that great from a fantasy perspective. At least he's shown some promise here and there. I mean, the game against Miami was wild.
He can keep Hopkins alive, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. I like Levis more if CJ Stroud ends up going with that concussion. I think if Stroud does not go, Levis is. I'm just like I would have a hard time. Like you want someone who is going to at least keep that game competitive and higher scoring. Not that it would be high scoring, but higher scoring. And if you're not having that like back and forth, really, really hard to trust Levis. But he's coming off that 16.6 point game against Miami. Houston's the 5th best matchup in adjusted points allowed. So, deep formats, you can go with Levis if CJ Stroud is in. If CJ Stroud's out, I would probably not play Levis.
Crazy dog levels on Levis. I mean, the dog levels, the T levels, they're all very much off the chart for Will Levis. So.
Yeah, pretty soon. Like if he's a sustainable starter, like if he ends up just being like a decent, 5 to 10 year guy who not that I'm projecting this, but if he's that guy who's like, fine enough, he's going to be in a lot of those lists where they rank the attractiveness of quarterbacks.
You think? Yeah. He's handsome.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's handsome.
Like Matt Ryan was always in those. I think he's probably more handsome than Matt Ryan is.
Oh, he for sure is.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's not many quarterbacks really. A lot of the quarterbacks aren't that attractive. If we're being honest, there's a lot of weird like I think that the number one is usually like Jalen Hurts or something. Like he's usually up
he's
there.
Very, very attractive guy.
Very good looking guy. But like the fact that Matt Ryan was up there, and then I remember how I went through an evolution the same time that Joe Flacco did. We've talked about this, right? Where I like started to care a little bit more about my appearance and stuff like my hair and stuff like that. And Flacco ended up going from this guy's weird looking to like one of the most attractive, most handsome guys in football. And he was like ranked really high. And I was like, get owned, everyone. Everyone's talking junk, being like, you look like Joe Flacco. And I'm like, I do look like Joe Flacco.
I do look like him because I'm handsome as hell. All it took for Joe was a little facial hair and a good haircut. He had a horrible haircut.
I know, but I did too. I look back at pictures of my 20s. I'm like, what was I doing? What was I doing? I just didn't care at all, right? And then you go on a little gluten, dairy, soy-free diet. I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but that's how I eat now.
I hadn't no.
And things change. You feel a little bit better.
You stop eating gluten and you get one good haircut, and suddenly you're handsome.
Amazingly, things will change for you.
Yeah. All right. So okay, we're on Flacco. So all right, let me lay out this game has a lot of appeal because both of these teams are top 5 in offensive snaps allowed to opponents. Okay, so there should be a lot of plays here between the Bears and the Browns. I actually think it puts both defenses in play because, you could have a lot of passing, interception opportunities, whatever. But it also makes both quarterbacks, I think very good plays here, including Flacco. Bears, middle of the pack and drop back success rate allowed, third most extreme pass funnel since week 10. Teams are basically not trying to run it anymore against the Browns. So I think we could see another 40 plus drop back day for old Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the tight end position. I'll kick things off. I'm going to go with a guy named Davis Allen, who definitely existed before last week. We all knew Davis Allen. We were all well aware. I had to go back to my tight end model, the beta model. That's beta
right. Yeah.
And
You nicknamed it Denny.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you know what? I should just name. I haven't named that model. Maybe I'll just name it the Denny.
You should
just keep it. I'll find some words to throw in there for like the acronym. But anyway, Davis Allen did not score very well in that prospect model. He is a rookie. The Rams didn't have Tyler Higbee because of a neck injury, and then Hunter Long, who seems like he gets a career-ending injury since he entered the league. Like he's just always had some crazy injury happen. But he got replaced in that game because he was hurt by Davis Allen. And in that game, Denny, Allen, even though he didn't start the game, ended up with a 63% route participation, which is pretty strong at tight end. He had a 13% target share, 15 PPR points. Like I said, not an amazing prospect, not really what we look for either because he's not very athletic. But if he's the number one tight end in that offense, they get Washington this week. They should throw the ball a lot. They should be able to move the ball. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a decent enough dart.
What I would say about this person whose name I forget is that you could do worse. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if someone would how would you feel if someone were talking about you and someone said, "Oh yeah, you could do worse."
I mean, my wife says it, so
fair.
I get no respect. All right, Tucker Kraft. I got his name right. Against Tampa. Sorry, my eye is like spazzing out. It's weird.
Are you ever trying to say inclined to say Cucker Traft?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm all sorts of mixed up. A part of me wants to say Tucker Carlson. The other part of me wants to say Cucker Traft. I mean, I'm really messed up on this guy.
Cucker.
All right. Well, old Cucker gets the Bucks. Bucks giving up the fourth most tight end receptions on the season. Bucks are the third most extreme pass funnel this season. Kraft is running almost all the routes in this Green Bay offense.
You can go to Logan Thomas. He hasn't really been that great over his last couple of games. He had 9 and a 5% target share, but the route participation wasn't terrible in that 60 to 65% range. The Rams, though, great matchup. We saw Isaiah Likely tear them apart last week. They're the third best matchup for tight ends and adjusted points allowed. So I do not mind Logan Thomas. I think I'm going to have to start him in a dynasty playoff matchup this week.
Yeah, we're hoping that Logan doesn't just get some cardio like he usually does.
Yeah.
All right, we are on to Chigakonkwo against Houston. He's been targeted on 21% of his routes over the past 2 weeks. That's a big increase, folks, over earlier in the season when that was around 17, 18%. But whatever. I'm reaching here. He has at least 5 targets in 3 straight games, which adjusted for the Titans offense would mean that in most offenses he would see 14 targets in 3 straight games. So you could do worse.
Moving on to defense, I'll kick things off, I guess. I'll go with the Raiders versus the Chargers. I don't mind the Raiders. I'll just go with both of them because I'm going to talk about both of them. So I'm just going to talk both. You can go with the Raiders or the Chargers. I like the Raiders more though, Denny, because the Raiders are facing Easton Stick, which is arguably the worst name in the history of maybe names.
It's a tough name. It's a tough name. I credit this young man for getting as far as he has in his life with the name Easton Stick.
It's impressive. Yeah. The Raiders, do you want to hear a crazy statistic? You ready for this? The Raiders, over their last 6 games, 5 of those games, they've been a top 10 defense in fantasy football. In 5 of their last 6. In 4 of their last 6, they've been a top 6 defense. Wow. Now they get the Chargers. They get Easton Stick. There's a 33.5 point over-under in this game. Yep. It's a Thursday night game, probably going to be sloppy. I like the Raiders, but then the Chargers on the flip side, Raiders might not have Josh Jacobs. Did you see any report on him today?
No, nothing today. I guess they're going to do walkthroughs. So, but since it's the West Coast, it'll probably be around 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah. So, with Jacobs, if he's out, it's a little bit of a boost, I guess, from a Chargers perspective. The Raiders offense has a lot of top 6 performance in 3 of their last 4, 5 of their last 7. I just think this is going to be a defensive game, pretty ugly game, not a lot of scoring. So I don't mind the Chargers either. I'd go with the Raiders over the Chargers, but I don't mind either of them.
How Jover is it for Brandon Staley? Man,
Oh my gosh, I can't believe he hasn't been fired yet.
it's actually kind of excruciating that he has not been dismissed. Like we're gonna have to wait till the season ends, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. I have the Rams. The Rams, I think, are a really good play at home, and no one wins in LA. Well, thankfully, Washington has no fans to travel. You know, most teams travel well. There's nobody left. I can attest to that. So there will be Rams fans in the stands. So this game, stick with me here, JJ. This game has the third highest combined average of offensive snaps per 60 minutes, meaning there should be a lot of plays. And that means a lot of Sam Howell dropbacks. The Commanders pass at a 70% rate when trailing. They're 6.5-point dogs here. Only Mac Jones has more turnover-worthy plays than Sam Howell on the season. We're going to get some Sam Howell interceptions here. Start the Rams.
I'm going to go with the Falcons against the Panthers. Carolina is bad. They've thrown one touchdown pass since week 9. Over their last 6, defenses have ranked 2nd, 12th, 2nd, 14th, 8th, and 1st against the Panthers. Very low, 34.5-point over-under. The Falcons are actually decent against the run. And so I do think that Carolina probably won't be able to run the ball very well against them. And so that's going to force, Bryce Young to have to throw. And, Young, over the last 2 games without Frank Reich, has been throwing it deep a little bit more. That could create a little bit more turnovers, maybe some more sacks if he's waiting a little bit longer. I don't mind the Falcons. I don't think the Falcons' defensive unit is that great, but this is a really, really just poor environment in general.
Panthers threw the ball on 44% of their plays when trailing last week. So they are not interested in what I would call, quote, scoring points.
Yeah, winning. Yeah.
No, they don't want to do that. And good for the Bears, who have the Panthers pick, which is just devastating. First round pick, I should say. And then I have Bengals against the Vikings. I couldn't come up with like a super strong argument for this, except for like Nick Mullins possibly melting down. Hopefully I think this will be an ugly game, honestly. Ugly, low scoring game. I think that means the Bengals have a floor. I would think that a team like the Rams, who else did we mention here? The Rams, the Falcons,
Raiders, Chargers.
Yeah. I think that those teams probably have like more of a ceiling outcome.
Yeah.
But the Bengals are fine. They're at home. You could do worse.
To recap, we got the Rams, the Falcons, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Bengals, Tucker Traft, Chigakonkwo, Davis Allen, Logan Thomas, Joe Flacco, Nick Mullins, Will Levis, Jake Browning, and Gardner Minshew. Denny, let's get to Twitter. We have a couple from last week that we're going to kick things off with. This first one's from @StairwayToEvan17. If you left your children at home unattended a la Home Alone, how successful or resourceful would they be at fending off intruders?
Well, I mean, this is hard for you because your kids are so small.
Yeah, I mean, Avery's 5 and, CJ's turning 1 in a week. But, like, I will say it's incredibly impossible for any child. Do you know how old Kevin McAllister is supposed to be in that movie?
No.
He's 8.
No.
Yeah, think about an 8-year-old doing that, and it's impossible.
That's crazy. Come on.
Yeah, it's insane.
Come on, man. I mean, my son is almost 11. My daughter is 7. I actually think that they could do reasonably well. I mean, my kids, I can't speak for everybody's kids, but I do think the kids sort of step up when they have to. I remember being in positions. We got lost at Disney World, me and my brother. I was 11, he was 8, and we were just straight up lost. Like I had no idea where my parents were, and instead of panicking, I became very focused and like I needed to get somewhere where they could call my parents' names over the loudspeakers, and they did that, and we were reunited. So I think that I trust my kids to sort of stick with it, to not completely melt down.
Next one, if any of you have young children, then you can pause this for a second. I'm just gonna have that caveat. Next question is from @Rusin_Scott. It says, am I the only one thinking Elf on a Shelf is pure insanity? Have a 9-month-old at home, and I've concluded I'm never putting that level of effort to trick my kid to not be a dick. Thoughts from you fine gentlemen?
Can you explain to me Elf on a Shelf? I've never done it.
Oh, you guys don't do it?
No.
So you have a little elf that is your family's elf, right? And typically it'll come and do like naughty things in your home, and it has like magical powers, and the kid can't touch it, all this kind of stuff. And it's like a fun little thing that you do from December 1st till Christmas. And, there's sometimes like treats involved and stuff like that. A lot of people do like the naughty things. And I think it's to like teach, like don't do this kind of stuff or whatever, or like this person's being naughty. We've always just done, our elf's name is Pickles, and Pickles always does just like fun things, and then sometimes leaves like a treat and stuff like that. So it's never like a very like negative. It's more of a fun thing for us. I don't mind. I think it's fun. Like my daughter's obsessed. Like every morning she's searching for where Pickles is, and seeing if Pickles brought something and stuff. So I think it's a good thing.
We have a lot of negative comments about this elf on the shelf business in the chat. So I feel like I maybe dodged a bullet with not doing this.
Maybe.
I was aware of it. I didn't really know what it was about. But I mean, it's the same thing as Santa saying, if you're good, Santa will bring you presents. If you're not, he'll bring you coal.
Right.
Like, that's like that's a horrible messaging. Man, that's terrible.
It's pretty bad messaging. Yeah. Next question at Jake Break Baller. What is your public farting strategy? Hold it in until you turn blue. Let it fly and hope some other poor soul is blamed. Escape to a vacant area and do it.
That's a good question. I think mostly if it's gonna happen, then I just get to an area where it won't matter.
Yeah, I do that. I'm a believer that you should always try to fart. You should not hold it in. There's probably science behind it being bad for you to hold in.
Right. Some people would say I've done that on the podcast. I haven't. Just so everyone knows.
Yeah, that's not true.
And
Denny clearly just lets it rip, as we know.
No, and during COVID I didn't, because it spreads COVID particles. So I don't know, guys. I think that the best thing to do is just to get clear of people. It's really obnoxious, by the way, when someone just lets it go right in company with
No, I agree with that. I thought you were gonna say it's obnoxious like that humans fart.
That's true.
Yeah. It's kind of a dumb thing. Like why we got to do that?
I was in a waiting room the other day, and this 5-year-old just ripped one right in front of me. Like he walked by, he was like, and I like looked at him, and we both started laughing.
we did have the discussion about being like the fart accepting household or the non accepting household with fart. Like we're a fart accepting household, so if I need to fart, I will fart wherever I am in my house.
Yeah, no, we are very much accepting. We're very woke when it comes to farting.
Yeah, same. Next question at Mana_dork. In what way does the egg discourse change based on how you cook the eggs? Would eating 5 fried eggs be looked at the same as eating 5 hard boiled? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, 5 hard boiled a lot? I feel like it's a lot.
It's all the same. They're all the same, Denny. They're
all. You're saying it doesn't change?
No, I'm saying it doesn't change. I'll eat 5 hard boiled eggs the same as I'd eat 5 scrambled eggs.
All right. Well, that sounds. I mean, now that does sound extremely filling to me. I'm not being judgmental. If you want to eat 5 hard boiled, you go ahead.
It's not any different than 5 other eggs. It's not different. It's the same egg.
I don't know.
It's the same egg.
I don't know the science behind it. Okay, I'm not like an egg expert. I can't tell you well, actually, when you break it, when you cook it, it's different. The caloric intake. I don't know about any of that. All I know is that if you put 5 hard-boiled eggs in front of me and was eat it, I'd be like, damn, man, I'm not that hungry, and I'm hungry right now. Right this second, I'm hungry. I couldn't eat 5.
Yeah, but you could eat 5. You would just end up getting bored of eating so many hard-boiled eggs. That's my point. That's my argument.
By the way, when are we going to just tell the people that we are being sponsored by Big Egg?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's true. We are. We've gotten paid millions over the last 3 weeks for talking about this.
And honestly, yeah, you know how many eggs JJ has bought over that time?
Yeah, I've used half of the $1 million on eggs.
Right. There are actually no eggs in the Charlotte area because JJ has them all.
It's true. It's true. They were very pleased when I went to New York City because they were able to buy eggs again.
Yes.
Next question at Chase Eric. It says, what moment of the fantasy regular season made you most tilted this year? What moment of the fantasy season was the most exciting for you this year?
That's a good question. For me, the tilting part was all the times that Derek Carr had like huge amounts of yards, because I had to depend on him in the Apex League for a while.
Yeah.
And he would have like 350 yards and no touchdowns because of Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
That tilted me to no end, because I'm like, he has to eventually hit one. But
yeah,
no.
yeah. I think that my most tilted easily was the Bijan Robinson game.
Oh yeah, right.
That I look back now and I got 7th place in 2 leagues. I did fairly well across my leagues. One of them, well, I guess I got 8th in Apex. I had the 4th most points in Apex, and that was tilting. But if the Bijan game didn't happen, or if he scored like his average, I'm pretty sure I would have gotten in to that playoff.
And then as for what was the most exciting moment or game or whatever, I was outside of my body when Rondale Moore caught that long touchdown from Kyler Murray, like on the second play of the game against Houston, because I stacked that game heavily in my Millie Maker lineup, and I had those two, and I hit it, and the DraftKings winnings like changes by the second, especially early in the game, and it pops up, and I'm winning like $150,000 or something, like right off the bat. And I was like, I got one. I finally got one. Like this is the lineup. I know it because I had like Nico, I had Tank Dell, I had, and then Rondale Moore didn't see a single target after that.
Yeah.
Not one.
I do remember that. I don't know if I had like a huge moment. I think that one of them is probably when Devon Achane, because I was a very, very big advocate of drafting Achane this year, and got him in a ton of leagues. He was in my draft guide as a player to target, all that good stuff. And I then was talking about like buying him and buying into him like a week prior to a lot of the stuff going down. And my Discord, when he went off in that one game, we were just going nuts, like just absolutely bonkers. And that anytime we have like the Discord, we have a live game banter channel in the Discord. And so we're all just chatting while games are going on. And there are certain players, like Rashad White's one, because I was really high on Rashad White this year. Devon Achane, Sam Laporta is another one. Jaden Reed is one because I liked him as a rookie a lot, a prospect a lot. And then obviously in redraft, I liked him. And then even Puka, like I had Puka as a player to target in the draft guide too. But there's certain guys when they go off, when they have monster games, we go absolutely bonkers in the chat, like pants off type stuff all the time. It's and Bijan's another one of this, because Bijan had a rough start, and then I was like very adamant to continue buying him, and now he like rest of season. Denny, do you think it's like I have Bijan Robinson as the RB2 in fantasy rest of season right now?
No, it's a really good setup for him.
Yeah, really it's good. Just so, and I had that last week too, and I got some crap from someone about that, but like it's the schedule's amazing. He's great as a player, and he's seeing the red zone looks, which is really all, because even if he sees 60%, 55% of the team's running back rushes, if he sees a 20% target share along with red zone work, I mean, he in these matchups that he's got, I mean, he could go bonkers. Like he could go absolutely nuts. And the doubling down almost on the Bijan stuff, because I liked him as like a draft pick. And then I did the same thing with Tony Pollard, and I doubled down. I'm like stay with it. They're going to be good. Like buy them. And since then they've both been, I mean, Pollard's been a lot better too, but Bijan, man, thank God Arthur Smith decided to finally use him in the red zone.
Yeah. Well, he was pressured. I will say that, so I have a Bad Faith Times Discord with some guys who subscribe to Bad Faith Times and also follow me for fantasy stuff. And we were all very big on Puka headed into the season. And it became a bit where we were like, Puka Nation, we love our Puka, right? And then he comes out and has 10 receptions on 15 targets. Yeah. And we won, and we were going nuts, but we went extra nuts in week 2, and he saw 20 targets. Yeah. And caught 15. And I was like, this cannot be real. It actually felt surreal. I will say that was a very exciting moment as well.
The thing with him too is that he's incredibly likable.
Oh yeah. Such a good guy.
Yeah. Like I love Puka Nacua. That guy's awesome. The whole season's been great with him. All right, let's go to the next question. It is from @SteakKnifeOb. Everybody debates the best Christmas movie, but what would you say is the worst Christmas movie, and why is it A Christmas Story?
Oh yeah, I don't like A Christmas Story.
Christmas Story is fine. I'd put it in the fine category. I have the answer to the worst Christmas movie, and I finally, I'd seen it before, but I finally rewatched it recently with Avery. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Polar Express.
Yeah. Huh. Oh, you took the words right out of my mouth. I freaking hate that movie.
What? It is so, it's frightening. The movie is weird, and there's no, like, the plot isn't real. Like, there's nothing like, there's nothing that I'm like excited to see next. And there's nothing that I'm like looking at. I'm like on the edge of my seat when the movie is literally supposed to have you on the edge of your seat, the way that it's like designed and all the craziness that goes on in the Polar Express. I didn't feel any emotion. I felt nothing while it was
That's
going.
right. No, I don't know. Like, is it like a movie that you're supposed to watch on acid? I'm just not clear about the appeal. It's not.
Here's
fun.
the thing, Denny. Here's the thing. The Polar Express movie, I know you don't play video games. The Polar Express movie is a lot like cutscenes in video games these days. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not I don't care about the cut. Like, if I'm playing a video game and if I were to only sit down and watch the cutscenes, I would throw my television out the window.
Okay.
Like you're the only reason why I'm watching the cutscenes is because I want to know the storyline so that I can get to the next part and play. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not playing the Polar Express. I'm watching a terrible movie by an actor. His worst performance ever is that movie.
Yes,
and everyone loves it. Everyone loves him in it.
Oh no, really?
People love that movie. I believe a lot of people were giving a lot of praise for that movie because he did so many different things in it and stuff like that. But it's his worst movie, like bar none, easily.
I hate it. You know what I realized the other day? I realized that the movie Elf is like nostalgic for Zoomers. And that makes me feel really old because, Elf came out when they were kids, like very small kids. It's just the same way that National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation came out when I was a kid. And so I watched it every year. That Elf is their National Lampoon's. And I'm like, wow, what happened? Where did time go? The linear passage of time has once again vexed me.
So you know how old Will Ferrell was whenever they filmed Elf?
Please don't tell me. How old?
I'm Googling it because I remember.
Okay. I thought you had it.
Well, I remember reading it one day. Okay, he was 35 when they filmed Elf.
Wow.
Doesn't that feel crazy?
That's shocking because he's 55 now.
I mean, I think it came out 20 years ago.
And we have a commenter who makes a good point about Polar Express. Sorry to skip around here, but said this characters all suffer from what they call the valley effect, uncanny valley effect, where they look soulless. There's no life in their eyes.
Yes,
like that sort of animation deadens like that. What's supposed to be like a human look.
So Paul, after we talked about Will Ferrell's age, Paul goes, "Wait until you hear it's already week 15." I can't believe Will Ferrell did that movie 20 years ago. I think Elf is good though. I think Elf is a very fun movie. And I'm not the biggest Will Ferrell fan in the world, but I think he's fine. But the movie Elf is very good.
It grew on me.
It's good. It's now a family fave. Like it's one of Avery's go-tos.
Have you ever seen Scrooged, JJ?
Yeah, but not in a really long time. I know it's your favorite though.
It is, man. It is my favorite. You gotta, the folks, listen, the Zoomers, listen. Bill Murray, the guy named Bill Murray from the 80s. Watch Scrooged.
Next question @boo_duh_pest. What's the best Starburst 2-piece combination? Pink, red, or other?
Oh man, good question.
I think pink is probably the best.
I mean, that's the chalk, obviously.
Yeah. And then how would you rank? What is it? 4? Is it pink, red, yellow, orange? Right?
Yeah. The yellow is. Come on.
Yellow's worst. I put orange over red though.
What?
Yeah, I put orange over red.
Actually, that's not so crazy.
Red flavoring to me kind of tastes like cough medicine at times.
Yeah, no, that's. I wanted to get mad about it, but I can't. I actually can't get mad.
I've had this discussion with people a lot. Like red, like when people get cherry and stuff. It's like, when you have an alternative to get like strawberry or even like watermelon or something like what are you doing getting cherry for?
So yeah, cherry. Well, cherry.
Cherry
Cherry's
doesn't even
gross.
taste like cherry doesn't even taste like cherry.
No.
Cherry is a flavor that is just it's sort of like blue, like
Yeah.
blueberry stuff. It's like this doesn't taste like blueberries. It's just the flavor of what it's become.
But actual cherries are bad.
Yeah, I don't really like cherries that much. I'm not a big fan. I mean, we've probably never had a good cherry before, but
Yeah, right. We just haven't. Right, you're right. I've only had the bad cherries. I should correct that and have one good cherry. So Brian Smith in the chat says that him and Liz Loza from ESPN they love lemon starburst, which I actually don't believe you. You're just trolling at this point. You're trying to be cool and hipster about it, okay? Because I don't believe it.
Look, lemon's fine. Like you'll eat it. Like I feel like you probably feel about lemon starburst the same way that you feel about donuts. Okay. You don't hate donuts, Denny. Get out of here. You just don't want to eat them. Okay.
You're right.
Or I'll even go one step further. I'll go one step further.
Okay.
I think that people feel this way too about candy corn. Okay. Where candy corn standalone, one singular candy corn, it's not that bad, guys.
It's fine.
It's fine. Like, stop this is trash. It's fine. The problem is when you overindulge and you eat like 10 of them and you feel like garbage, just like putting that in your body, like, because it's pure sugar. It makes you feel bad.
It makes your mouth disgusting.
Yeah, you get like little phlegm and stuff. Like, it's just gross.
Yeah. No, that's nasty. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, the lemon starburst. I'm sorry. I just can't picture that. Oh, you know what I like? Okay. With donuts, you mentioned donuts. My wife got donuts the other day. Kids are going crazy on them. I like one bite of a donut. So I'll rip off one bite, pop it in my mouth, drink coffee on top of it. I like it like that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I think that the reason why, and it's the same feeling that people get when I mention that I can eat 5 eggs. Let's be honest. You can eat 5 eggs. You can eat a lemon starburst. It's going to be fine. It's just that eventually you get sick of it. There's just too much of it.
Everything comes back to the eggs.
Oh, man. Next question. At Chris Riley. Chris H. Riley. What are your thoughts on leagues that allow eliminated teams to still make waiver claims during the playoffs?
No, well, that's dumb. That's dumb.
Yeah, I think that the league just needs to set rules and kind of go from there and make sure there's no reason for those teams to be playing for something. If they're playing for like not getting last, then that they can still make moves.
Yeah. No, but otherwise no one should be able to make moves. I'm sorry. I'm a libertarian when it comes to like things like vetoes, like trade vetoes, but when it comes to this stuff, there's got to be government intervention.
Here's the counter argument, Denny. Why is it that in the playoffs, the 6 teams, then the 4 teams, then the 2 teams should have such an easier time to get players off the waiver wire? You know, like that would be my counter argument, is that the teams that are competing, you know, I think that if a team is good entering the playoffs, it should still be able to hold its competitive advantage. And I know that they can pick up players off the waiver wire too, but think about a really deep team, a really good team, right? And now they're in the championship. And now there's 4 running backs that all are becoming starters because their starters went down, or it's, you know, late in the season, they want to give guys other looks. I don't know if the inferior team deserves somewhat of an advantage over the team that has a better squad. You know, I think I'm not saying that you're wrong, because I do generally agree with you, but I think that's the counter argument to and that doesn't get talked about enough to the, you know, teams adding guys off the waiver wire during the playoffs.
What about just shutting down waivers for the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's an option too. That's certainly an option to like plan ahead and go that route. The only problem with that is that a lot of leagues aren't deep enough for that. I think that you need deep enough benches to like go that route and feel, because, you know, if you have a 4 or 5, even 6 player bench, you could get screwed. Like, you could just get unlucky, and that sucks.
Absolutely. We have an update in the chat. Nick Mullins is officially starting at quarterback for the Vikings this week. So, hey, we got that going for us.
There we go. Next question, at Nick R.W. Noonan. It says, since you've talked a lot about getting old and sickly, rank these kinds of sickness from least bad to most bad.
Okay.
Stuffy nose, sore throat, earache, chest cold / cough.
What's the worst here?
The worst is probably chest cold and cough.
I would say, I don't know, the ear stuff can be really terrible.
See, I was thinking that sore throat would be next. A sore throat's rough.
It is,
So,
especially
like
with
a
our
legit
job.
sore throat. I'm
Mhm.
not talking like some just like postnasal
Yeah.
drip. Like I'm talking like serious like strep throat type stuff. That's awful. That's bad. I think I think we agree that stuffy nose is the easiest. Is
Oh, yeah, I mean, you
the
could
most
deal with that.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It is
Um,
it is good that you're talking about this though, because of what I talked about at the top, where I'm bound to be testing. I'm trying to put it out in the universe and maybe
Yeah.
reverse jinx this, but I am bound to test positive for COVID here in the next.
No, the novel coronavirus will say otherwise. Maybe. I hope not. I hope not
Yeah.
for you. By the way, the sore throat and the postnasal drip reminds me that the season is coming for me to have 4 months straight of postnasal drip from January through April is when I have it. So that's fine.
Yeah. My house has just been literally 3 straight sicknesses going on right now with us, and it's not fun. I'm ready for this. Is easily the worst part about like winter and Christmas time and stuff. Because
And if we lived in LA, it wouldn't happen. We wouldn't have to deal with this stuff.
True. They don't have viruses in LA. People.
No one's ever gotten sick.
No one's ever gotten sick in LA. Next question at Diego 24 FPS. What's the funniest response that Josh Allen could have given Mahomes after bitching about the call during their handshake? Sorry to the kids. So we didn't talk about this. What's your take on the whole, Kadarius Tony lining up situation and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes getting all PO'd about it?
So, I mean, eventually they both, Mahomes and Reid, had to say like, actually the refs were right. My bad. Yeah. So there's that. Also, when Mahomes was being held back by teammates and irate, throwing things, cursing on the sideline, I thought he was rightfully trying to go after Kadarius Tony.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like this is good. Like this makes sense to me that he would be like, how can you be such an idiot and cost us this game with such an avoidable penalty? But he's going after the refs, and that to me was like a big time loser situation for Mahomes, and he's not a loser. Like he doesn't have loser tendencies. So when he went up to Allen and he's a worst effing call of all time, this and that. I guess the funniest thing would have been for him to like pat Mahomes on the chest and be like, "It's okay, bro."
Yeah, just be very sarcastic back.
You'll be good.
Yeah. So did you see Dan Orlovsky's commentary on it?
Yeah.
I thought that was easily the best argument for the Chiefs being angry was Orlovsky's stuff.
Oh, because Kadarius Tony was offsides all the time.
And they never called it. And so just from a so just so people know, like when wideouts line up at the line of scrimmage, they check with the ref a lot, or the ref will actually say, "Hey, back up a little bit," because they don't want these ticky-tack things to like overtake the game. And so the fact that Kadarius Tony was lined up where he was lined up, and then they throw the flag, it's a penalty. He was offsides. But throughout the game, Orlovsky showed this. Throughout the game, there was like 5 instances where Tony was lined up in the exact same way, the exact same spot, and the refs never called anything. And so I think from a behavioral perspective, it is a little bit jacked up that the refs decided to call it on that play when they hadn't called it all game long, which just goes, I mean, this is what the NFL refereeing has been and officiating has been, throughout the season. And then there were even like now people are like more aware of it. And there's plays like Jalen Waddle last night was lined up offsides and like in the exact same way that Kadarius Tony was. I do think that the Chiefs have reason to be pissed about like that. Like I get it, but at the same time, you've got to kind of bring it in a little bit and understand that it was still a penalty. Like it was still, it was still an illegal thing for Kadarius Tony to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for a rule where it says if a play is cool enough, then you just ignore ticky-tack penalties. But I guess the league will never go with that. But on the same play, I saw that the Chiefs' right tackle, I guess, was lined up like basically shoulder to shoulder with the running back. He was way off the line.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. And here's the thing that does get me a little bit. And look, I'm a Mahomes backer. I think that he's going to end up being the greatest quarterback of all time. I love Andy Reid. So like, this is not me coming at it from that perspective, but I do think it's a little bit ironic that the Chiefs are getting this upset about calls after, like the Bengals Chiefs playoff game where Mahomes gets the penalty on the sideline, or which was a fine call. Like, it wasn't the wrong call, but I'm just saying this wasn't the wrong call either. And so, like, it's not that different of a situation scenario. The Super Bowl last year, right? The holding call. I mean, wrong call? Not really, not necessarily. But again, it's in this big moment. If you want the players to just play, you can't just have that happen when it's convenient for you.
I am really, really tired of only watching for flags when I watch football.
It is getting a little bit obnoxious.
That's the only thing I do. I don't actually watch anything that's happening. I'm just like, please, no flag, no flag, no flag. Like that's a terrible way to watch a sport.
Yeah, you can't celebrate touchdowns the same way anymore.
You can't. No, not at all. Every time
Right.
a guy scores, you go, wait. Okay, no penalty.
Yeah, now we can celebrate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It's a little bit tilting. I mean, I'm still an addict and I still love this game, but you're not wrong.
From a fantasy standpoint, it's torture, just torture. Because I mean, how many times does your guy score, and you know, like the flag has been thrown, like it's not going to count. That happens so often, way too often. They got to stop calling all these penalties. The holding penalties are crazy. In 2020, when they just basically stopped calling holding penalties, the game was never more fun. The game was never more fun than the COVID season. The COVID season was the best NFL season ever.
Yeah.
They should get back to that.
That's a great way to end the show, Denny.
Okay.
Let everyone know where they can find you.
At CDCarter13 on X and on Threads. Folks, more and more people are coming to Threads. Tell JJ to get on board.
I'm on. I just don't do anything on there. Yeah, I at least exist there. All my stuff over on lateround.com. I have the other podcast, the Late Round Podcast. Denny, I don't know if we can get milkshakes because I don't want to give you COVID if I have COVID. Although you just got over it, so
I'll wipe off the straw. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Good luck in the first round of the fantasy playoffs, and we will catch you on the flippity flip.
Thank you for listening to Live in the Stream. We hope you enjoyed the internet podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes now. It won't take long, it's fast. For more fantasy football info, check out
LateRound.com and NBC Sports Edge.
Hope you come back soon as we share about the teams and as we live